So I drive a Tesla every single day, and I have never used a charging station. So ever since I started this channel and bought a very used Model S and this very used Model 3 over here, I've got a lot of questions, a lot of comments about, and sometimes this handle, yeah, there we go, sometimes it doesn't open. A lot of questions, a lot of comments surrounding charging the actual cars. And one of the biggest questions that I get is all surrounding charging. Oh, where are you going to charge it? I live in a very small town. There's no charging stations near me. How would I even charge it? And these are all valid points, because my shop is where I'm at right now, and we live close to here, and I'm right on the outside of a big city, Charlotte, North Carolina. And I can show you right here that the closest charging station to me, you can see, is still 10 miles away. So if you're looking at a Tesla or any EV in the same light as you look at a regular gas car, then I can understand your concern, because I mean, within a mile of here, there's probably 10, 20 gas stations. So anytime I need gas, I literally can drive within a mile of wherever I am in most of the U.S. and I can fill up my gas tank, no problem, no issue. And if somebody looks at an EV in the same situation, they're like, okay, well, how far do I have to drive to charge? Is it a similar situation? What is it? I think Tesla does a very bad job at not, call it marketing, I don't call it education. Education is what I would rather call it. To really show the public how charging works, what charging looks like in your vehicle, and I feel like there's a lot of, let's call it miscommunication from the brand of Tesla to not be able to show people what the real thing is. And what the analogy I like to use when I'm looking at Tesla and charging is that you look at it like it's a cell phone and not a car. So think about how you use your cell phone. You use it throughout the day, however you want to use it, whatever. You go home, and for me, it's my charger's right beside the bed. When I lay down to go to sleep, I charge my phone. Next morning, I wake up, it's charged 100%. I take it off the charger, go about my day, use it however I want to, and then the same thing over and over and over again. And I almost never run into any situations where I'm out of charge. I don't even think about it. I just go home, charge it up. That's all I do. And that has been my situation with this Tesla, with that Model 3 that I've used, is that I really don't even think about it. I drive it throughout the day. I take it home. I plug it in my garage, charge it overnight, and the next morning I charge it up to 80-85%. I'm ready to go. And there's almost no situation where I'm going to run it out of charge where I'm not going to be able to actually use the car. And I go back to the cell phone analogy. So think about, like, there are charging stations around for your cell phone. And you think about airports, malls, businesses, they have these charging stations, but when do you really use those? And in my case, it's been almost never. And you can think about a charging station through Tesla as a similar light. So think about your cell phone when the time that you're going to run out of charge. Now, I've run out of charge with my cell phone are times that I've used my phone for, like, business all day long. You can relate that back to a car. If you're using a Tesla for business, you're driving all day long. If you're driving 300, 350, 400 miles, and you're doing it for business, or you're going on a road trip or something like that, yeah, you're going to actually have to use a charging station. But outside of that, there are going to be very few situations where you're actually going to need to have or use a charging station, and you can just plug up overnight. Now, I know there's a lot of you out there, okay, I live in an apartment, or I don't have a garage, so it's very difficult. And in those situations, yeah, it's going to be a problem. Now, I know a lot of people will say that if you have a house, you can just run a cord outside. There's a lot of people that do that. I get it. I don't feel comfortable just running a cord outside. but that's just my personal preference. There's a lot of people that do it. I've had people in my neighborhood that they have Teslas. They don't park them in the garage. They run the cord outside. Absolutely fine. Just not what I would like to do. So let's throw that scenario out there, but let someone who lives in an apartment. You can't run a drop cord all the way from your third floor apartment all the way down to your Tesla. There's going to be situations for a consumer just like that, not going to work for them most likely, or they're going to have to go the route of using the charging stations. Obviously, there's going to be specific situations for each type of person that's going to be able to use EVs. But what I would say, in my opinion, for 90% of the population that's actually out there driving cars on a daily basis, charging is probably going to be a non-issue, and it's not something that Tesla does a very good job about letting people know of how it's going to work. So I'll tell you on this Tesla that I have right now, if I charge it to 100%, it's got like 340 miles worth of range. And I can tell you only like 2 scenarios where I would even cut it close on a day to run out of charge and have to actually go to a charging station. One would be if I go on vacation with this car. So if we are driving somewhere, we go to the beach or whatever, and we drive all day long, then yeah, I would have to stop somewhere. But to tell you the truth, I probably wouldn't take this on a vacation in that situation, because if I'm going on vacation, this is me personally, I want to get there. I want to get there as quickly as possible. So I'm driving the other car that we have, which is a gas vehicle, so I can so I can fill it up with gas, 5 minutes, all done, no problem, let's get going. So in that situation, non-issue for me, because I'm just not going to take it on a trip. I know there's a lot of people out there that like to take trips in their Teslas, but for me, the charging is just not quick enough yet at these superchargers. Even though it's a supercharger, from what I've seen, it's still 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how long you're actually going to charge your car for. That's just too long. I don't want to sit there for that long. I want to get down the road. The other situation, which is an actual serious situation where you could be in trouble if Tesla is the only vehicle you have available to, is if you lose power for 2, 3, 4 days and you still have to go to work, or if your neighborhood has some kind of issue. I know that the house that we lived in last year, there were a couple times where our power went out, and it went out for more than 1 day. And in that scenario, if we didn't have an extra car, Tesla could potentially be an issue. Maybe not with this one, because the range is so high on it. It's over 300 miles. I'm probably not running that for 2 days, especially if I know that I have to plan to potentially not be able to charge it because our power's out. But for that Model 3 that I have over there, it only has 200 miles of range. So in a situation where I would not be able to charge it every single night, then yes, that would be an issue with that vehicle over there. And I see other places in the comments where, okay, somebody says they drive 150 miles every single day, or they're 100 miles away from where they work. I know someone who works for me. She drives like an hour and a half every day just to get here, and an hour and a half to get back to where she lives. And she asks me all the time. She says to me that, okay, Tesla won't work for her because of how much she drives on a daily basis. Now, in that situation, maybe she drives 150, 200 miles, 250 miles a day. But at that point, it's not necessarily about range. It's about the cost at that point. Because, yeah, that Model 3 that's cheaper, I paid $17,000 for it. The range on it's 200 miles, but obviously Tesla, their range is optimistic, so it's probably get 170, 175 miles on a full charge. So that one would not work for her, but she could pay more money and get one that has, I mean, they make them now that have almost 400, even over 400 miles of range. And in those situations with her, it's not necessarily about the range that's the problem. It's going to be the cost that's the problem, because if you want to buy something that has that much range, it's going to be one of the newer ones, and it's going to cost a lot more. So at that point, it's not the range, it's the money that's associated with it. valid. Affordability is a big time problem for a lot of these EVs. And I don't want to hear all of you people saying, okay, well, if you drive this Tesla over the years, you're going to end up saving X amount of dollars. Even Tesla on their website, they don't even give you the full price of the car. They say, okay, well, this is what you're paying when you back out gas costs that you're going to say. That's all bullcrap, right? Tell me the price of the car. That's as bad as what shady car dealers do. So, all right, that's my little rant for Tesla pricing. But what I want to say is affordability is a real issue. And those people that want to say, well, you're going to save all this money in 4 to 5 years as you're driving it, and you're going to end up paying way less than if you're buy like a cheaper Toyota Corolla or something like that. That may be well and true, but you still got to buy the car initially. So it's still a non-factor for someone that's deciding between that Corolla right now today that's going to be $24,000 versus that Model 3 Tesla that's going to cost them $35,000, take out the tax credit, whatever. It's still more expensive than what you're going to end up paying for that Corolla today. So I get the long-term savings or whatever, but for someone who wants to buy a car and they're trying to find the cheapest the cheapest car that they can buy right now, it's an actual issue for them. So all this to say, I really think that the understanding of being able to just plug this thing up like a cell phone, kind of, you have to experience it. You almost have to own one to know what it's like and not even think about the supercharging. Get out of the mindset of this is just a car that is like my other ICE vehicles, and I have to charge them just like I fill up the tank. It's not the same thing. It's more like a cell phone than it is an actual car. And I think the more that Tesla is able to change this perception, the better that they'll be able to do in the long run, because this is like the biggest problem. There's two massive problems keeping people from buying EVs, keeping people from buying Teslas. And one is range anxiety, knowing where to charge the cars. And I think that, in my personal opinion, for 95% of use cases is a non-issue. And two, the other big thing, obviously, is the price. So if Tesla is able to squash that first thing, which in my opinion is really a non-issue, then they're going to be able to sell a lot more vehicles. But education, as we know, is very, very difficult. But that's what we're trying to do on this channel right here. I am trying to be that voice right in the middle. I'm not this big Tesla fanboy. I'm also not anti-EV. As you can see, I am trying one out for myself. This one's got 100,000 miles on it. I want to see how it holds up. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you think. Let me know some of the objections that you have about EVs, because I would love to know what things I need to address and what positives, what negatives that I need to talk about in owning Teslas, and what questions you might have. So put them down in the comments, let me know, and I hope you have a great day.